Hello and welcome to week number 7. You are about halfway through the course. Once again, this video is made to give you a summary of the work that is due and what you need to learn for this week. So on week number 7, we continue discussing how living organisms manage energy. Last week, you guys learned about the process of photosynthesis, which is how photosynthetic organisms extract energy from light and use it for cellular work. And this week, you're going to learn about the process of cellular respiration, which is how organisms that get their energy sources from other organisms, the consumers of the biosphere, process that energy, meaning they extract the energy from those resources to use it for cellular work. So week 7, it goes from today, February 18 to February 24, as you can see it in there. I will go over the notes for this week, a summary of the note this week in a minute. I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of all the work that needs to be completed for the week. So they are the same uh, PowerPoint presentation as last week, as this is the second half of it. I'm going to go over. With this week, you only have you do not have an exam, you have a quiz assessing the topic of cellular respiration. Uh, and then once you complete that week, don't forget about the virtual lab for this week. It's actually an interesting one, diffusion and osmosis. The background or summary of how everything works is in this link. And then the actual lab is on the procedures, just to remind you. And you should now have a hang on how these virtual labs work. But this fusion and osmosis is very important for cells. It lets you understand how um, organisms or cells, to be more specifically, uh, manage the entry and the exit of those molecules, resources, food that we are talking about in order to maintain homeostasis. I mean, how do nutrients go inside the cell and how do waste goes outside the cell, etc., etc. Through those two processes, diffusion is, I'm sorry, osmosis is actually strictly for water. So make sure when you guys are reading that, you understand that osmosis is the movement of water across plasma membrane, and then diffusion is for nutrients, like for example calcium or glucose or any other nutrient or molecule needed for the cell to maintain homeostasis. With that lab, once again, I recommend that as you are completing the lab, you have the data collection and summary worksheet next to it. As you complete the lab, you can document data that you get from that lab. Remember, if you know how to edit the PDF file, go ahead and do it on the PDF file. But if you don't know or you don't have the program to do that, no sweat. If you can print it, just fill it out on a piece of paper or even on a notebook. Just fill it out, and then take a picture and upload it on the diffusion and osmosis data collection and worksheet submission. This is actually kind of like proof that you have completed the lab and that you got the data from the steps or procedures as described on the procedures link. And then that data and those steps, you can actually use them to answer the questions on the diffusion and osmosis quiz, which are tests for your understanding of the lab. Now, this week, we're going to have another discussion forum. It's about what you had just learned or what you are learning on this module and what you have learned on the last module, photosynthesis and cellular respiration. We're going to bring that to a real life type of a scenario. So it is an intriguing question. I'll let you guys go ahead and look at it. Do remember that you must actually post your own comment and then answer to at least two other students posting in order to get a full score. And as I did with the last discussion forum, I will actually come in and make comments on my own and add to the discussion uh, throughout the week. So let's go over the notes so that you guys understand what we're learning. Let me go ahead and get them here. Let's do this. So this module is 5.12 to 5.17. Those are the notes you need to have in order to complete the quiz for this week. And so it starts with, like it says here, living organisms extract energy through a process called cellular respiration, which is related to our breathing and oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide. And so this process is actually 3 steps. The first step being glycolysis, and I'm gonna warn you, there's a little bit of, not a little bit, well, kind of like a lot of chemistry in here. But for you guys, you just need to know the overview of each one of the processes. Follow the energy. Where does the energy goes and where does it transfer actually? So if you guys look in here, glucose comes in, and we get glucose from the food that we eat. And so it goes into the cell. And notice one thing important is how glucose is it starts being processed on the cytoplasm, and it needs a little bit of ATP, but it produces a little bit more. That's why it calls the investment versus payoff phase. If you guys understand that, you should be able to answer the questions based on that. But that's how the process of cellular respiration begins. And then the products of that glycolysis go into the second step, which is the citric acid cycle, which is also known as the Krebs cycle. And there's an intermediate step in there that you want to make sure you take a look in general. But then whatever it comes from glycolysis, it continues to be processed through the citric acid cycle, meaning that energy continues to be extracted from what was once glucose. So that all the energy that what was once in there gets completely stripped away and put into the intermediate molecules, which are the electron carriers of NAD plus, NADH, and on some of the ATP. I mean, I want to point out, let me go back here, that some of the molecules of ATP are instantaneously made. You learn about ATP in the previous module. That is the molecule that temporarily holds energy for cells to use and do cellular work to maintain homeostasis. And then, as you can see in here, how the energy gets stripped from what was once glucose into other chemicals, and it gets put into the molecules of NADH, ATP. There is one electron carrier here that is a little, I mean, bit different from NADH because it yields a little bit of energy once it releases those electrons full of energy to the last step. And finally, the last step, or the third step, is the electron transport chain. As you can see it in there, it is important to know where does it take place. It takes place on the inner membrane of the mitochondria, as I am showing you in here. And it is a little bit of a complex process when it comes to the chemistry. It's similar to what you guys learn on the photosynthesis, the cyclic electron flow, but once again, what I want for this course, what I want you to actually concentrate is follow the energy. If you guys look, the energy gets transferred from the NADH with the electrons. That energy gets transformed into potential energy with those hydrogen protons on the inner membrane space, and then that potential energy is what through this big molecule, or I'm sorry, this protein or enzyme, it's actually an enzyme, ATP synthase, makes ATP from ADP, adenosine diphosphate, to adenosine triphosphate. And so that's how molecules of ATP are actually recharged, because then when they release the energy, they go back to adenosine diphosphate, and then when they do this process of cellular respiration, they get recharged to adenosine triphosphate. You learned that on the previous module. So this is a summary of the whole process, and pretty much that is cellular respiration summarized. Then this is a really interesting slide based on the conversation on the discussion forum that we had last or prior to last week on module for week 5 about the 4 macromolecules, and then how they contribute to energy for cells, fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. So now you get to look at how, where within the process of cellular respiration, each one of them, like it says there, this organic molecule, basically, where do they go in? Intermediate steps in order to generate that energy or to recharge those molecules of ATP. So that's interesting information. And last, for this section, there is another process by which ATP molecules can be made much more inefficient, which is anaerobic respiration, also known as fermentation. You're gonna look at here the type of organisms that make. We humans have one type of cells that can do it. This is it has to do with lactic acid fermentation, and it's all in there. And if you guys go on the book, it explains how we get to switch from aerobic respiration to lactic acid fermentation. But also, interestingly enough, these processes are used in the industry of alcohol and or dairy products. The 2 different types of fermentations that you guys are learning there. I will let you guys read about it and learn about it, so I don't spoil the fun of learning. But that's pretty much it for this week number 7. As always, if you guys have any questions or need a little bit of a more detailed instruction on these topics, email me and we can set up a one-on-one meeting for me to go over any of your needs. Thank you. And like I say, email me if you have any other questions. Until the next time. Bye.